Angel Reese just got caught on record asking why nobody watches her games. And she said it the same week. The major networks NBC, CBS, ABC, and USA Sports all revealed that their most viewed WNBA games of all time featured Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and the Indiana Fever this year. Clark and Sophie Cunningham broke 5 different TV ratings records this year. 5 games, all Fever. That's not an opinion. That's the actual top 5 most watched WNBA games this season. And Angel Reese isn't in a single one of them. We're breaking down all 5, from the 2.64 million who watched Clark and Angel Wilson both come back from injury to the 3 million peak against the Liberty. So we're going to play you what she actually said, break down the 5 games that made her say it, and show you exactly why the numbers don't lie, even when Reese wants them to. Do you support Caitlin and Sophie, or Reese the baby giraffe? Let me know down in the comments below. Why does nobody watch my games? That's what Angel Reese reportedly asked, out loud, in front of people who then made sure the rest of us heard about it too. Just sit with that for a second. No cameras rolling, no press conference, just Reese venting about ratings in a moment she probably thought would stay private. It didn't. Here's the timing that makes it so rough for her. This wasn't some random week. This was the exact same week NBC, CBS, ABC, and USA Network all revealed their biggest WNBA audiences of the entire year. And every single one of those broadcasts had either Clark or Sophie Cunningham on the floor. Not Reese, not the Atlanta Dream. 4 networks, 5 record nights, and the common denominator wearing a Fever jersey every time. So while Reese is asking why nobody watches her games, the answer is playing out in primetime slots across 4 different networks. And it's not a mystery anybody needs to solve for her. Now go back just a few days before that. Reese sat in front of reporters and called herself the IT girl of the WNBA, adding that people watch for her too. That's her public version of events. Privately, according to what's circulating, she's asking why her own games can't pull numbers. You can't have it both ways. You can't stand in front of a camera and claim you're the biggest draw in the league, then turn around days later and admit you don't understand why nobody's tuning in. One of those statements is true. The ratings say which one. And it's not just Reese saying wild things this month. There's a whole chorus of veterans lining up to take shots at Clark and Cunningham, like the claim that Clark is somehow the 11th best guard in the league, or that Cunningham did not deserve her shoe deal. Somebody even suggested Cunningham's finger pointing should get banned from the court, like pointing at an opponent is some kind of foul. These quotes were floating around the same week Clark landed the cover of NBA 2K27, and the same week Cunningham helped put up numbers. No other bench player in the league is touching. 11th best guard doesn't get a video game cover. Players who do not deserve their shoe deal do not sell out their signature colorway in a weekend. The quotes aged badly, and they aged badly fast. This is where the whole story splits open. On one side, you have actual ratings, actual sales numbers, an actual video game cover. On the other side, you have quotes from players and former players who seem to be reacting to a Fever era they didn't see coming and don't know how to compete with. That gap between what people are saying about Clark and Cunningham and what the data says about Clark and Cunningham is the entire story of this week in the WNBA. Reese isn't reacting to nothing. She's reacting to a scoreboard she can't argue with night after night, network after network. So she wasn't just frustrated for no reason. She was watching the same numbers we're about to break down. Numbers that prove exactly why the cameras keep finding Indiana and keep skipping right past everybody else. Let's get into the 5 games that caused this whole meltdown in the first place. Starting with the night Clark and Angel Wilson Both stepped back onto the floor after injury, and the ratings went through the roof before the opening tip even finished. The top 5 most watched WNBA games this season all belong to one team. Indiana. Not the Aces, not the Liberty, not the defending champs, not Reese and the Dream. Every single spot on that list has the Fever logo on it, and no other team even sniffs the top 5. That's not a close race. That's a sweep. Start with July 12th Fever at Aces on NBC. This game pulled 2.64 million viewers and peaked at 2.8 million, and the story behind it made it must-see before the ball even went up. Caitlin Clark and Aja Wilson both stepped back onto the court that night coming off injury in the same game against each other for the first time in weeks. Fans had been waiting on that matchup since the season started, and the league got it in Las Vegas of all places. Then Indiana didn't just win, they blew the Aces out from start to finish, turning a comeback story into a statement game about who actually controls the league right now. Now jump to the most recent one. July 18th, Liberty at Fever on CBS. This is the biggest number of the entire year. 2.58 million average viewers, peaking close to 3 million. Let that sink in for a second, because that's the defending conference contender walking into Indiana and getting handled on national television in prime time. New York came in as the measuring stick for the whole league, and the Fever didn't just beat them. They made it look easy in front of the biggest audience the WNBA has drawn all season. Go back 2 weeks earlier, though, and you get a different flavor of chaos. July 6th, Fever at Liberty, also on CBS, pulled 2.56 million viewers. This one didn't end in a blowout. Indiana actually blew a fourth-quarter lead they'd built all game, and the finish turned into a mess when a whistle on Breanna Stewart became the only thing anyone wanted to talk about afterward. Close games with controversy at the end tend to keep people on the couch instead of changing the channel, and that's exactly what happened here. Then there's the season opener, May 9th, Wings at Fever on ABC, 2.5 million viewers right out of the gate. Fans watching that one openly joked that neither team played a second of defense all night, and honestly, the final score backed that up. But here's what matters. 2.5 million people tuned into a season opener with sloppy defense on both ends, which tells you the audience isn't showing up because the basketball is a clinic. They're showing up because of who's on the floor. Last one, July 15th, Fever at Valkyries on USA Network. This game averaged 1.14 million viewers, and that number made it the most watched WNBA game in that network's history. Smaller number than the other 4, sure, because it's a different network with a smaller footprint, but the pattern holds. Whatever channel the Fever show up on, that channel posts its best WNBA night of the year. Different networks, different opponents, different final scores, blowouts, nail-biters, sloppy openers, road games in Vegas and San Francisco. And every single time the connecting thread sits on Indiana's bench and Indiana's roster. NBC, CBS, ABC, USA, all 4 posted their high-water mark for the season with the Fever on the floor. That's not a coincidence you can wave off, and it's not luck either. None of these 5 nights happened because a network scheduled them well or because the league got fortunate with matchups. They happened because of what Clark and Cunningham actually do once the ball goes up, and that's exactly what we're breaking down next. Sophie Cunningham isn't the one dropping 30 a night. She's not the face on the video game cover. But her name kept coming up in every single one of these broadcasts. And that's not an accident because networks don't just show up for stat lines. They show up for players who bring something the cameras can't ignore. Cunningham's whole game is physical. She gets into people, she talks, she plays defense like she's got something personal against whoever's got the ball, and networks love that because it's watchable. It's the kind of stuff that makes a broadcast feel like a fight instead of a formality. So when veterans started complaining that Cunningham's finger-pointing should get banned from the court, what they were really saying is she gets under people's skin and they don't like it. Nobody complains about a bench player who doesn't matter. You complain about the one who's living in your head every time she checks in. And that's the part critics keep skipping over. Cunningham isn't just chirping, she's producing. She's hit big shots in big moments. She's drawn technicals off opponents who lost their composure guarding her, and she's set the tone on defense in games that ended up on this list. That's not hype, that's what shows up when you watch the tape. A player who didn't deserve her shoe deal doesn't usually end up as the person opposing benches are yelling about by the third quarter. None of this works, though, if it's just Clark and Cunningham carrying 4 quarters by themselves. Lexi Hull and Aaliyah Boston are the connective tissue holding the whole thing together. Hull guards the other team's best perimeter scorer possession after possession, which frees Clark up to play the way she plays best, and Boston controls the paint on both ends, so Indiana isn't getting punished for every mistake on defense. That two-way play is what lets Clark operate as a scorer and a passer without the entire broadcast collapsing onto her every time she sits for a rest. Then there's Kelsey Mitchell, and her numbers this year aren't a footnote, they're part of the whole engine. Mitchell strung together 40 straight games scoring in double figures, which is the kind of streak that doesn't happen by accident or by playing soft competition. She also holds the franchise record for points in a single quarter with 17, and she's led the entire WNBA in total points scored before. Mitchell scores from all 3 levels, meaning she's not a one-trick shooter standing in the corner waiting on a kick-out pass. She's getting buckets at the rim, from mid-range, and from deep, and that kind of scoring threat is exactly what keeps a broadcast from going flat when Clark takes a breather. Put all of that together and you get the real answer to why these 5 games broke records. It wasn't just Clark on a night-to-night highlight reel. It was Cunningham setting a tone, Hull locking up the other team's best scorer, Boston anchoring the paint, and Mitchell scoring in bunches every single night. That's a full roster showing up on camera, not one player getting lucky with a supporting cast standing around watching. So when people say Cunningham doesn't deserve her signature gear, they're ignoring the tape completely, because production like this is exactly what earns a deal like that in the first place. The Fever's depth is what turned 5 random broadcasts into 5 record nights, full stop. And all that winning, all that depth, all that noise around the team is exactly what put Clark in position for the biggest off-court moment of her career yet. While Clark was landing magazine covers and signing record deals, Reese was busy having the kind of week that makes even her own fans wince. It's almost funny how the timing worked out. One player's stacking up historic brand deals and a video game cover, and the other one's stacking up mystery questions about her conduct on the court and a mystery injury nobody can explain. Start with the Toronto Tempo game, because this is where things got ugly fast. Reese shouldered Nayara Sabally directly in the ribs during a play that had no business getting physical at all, and on replay it looks completely avoidable. This wasn't a hard box out or a fight for rebounding position where contact just happens. This looked like Reese picked her spot and drove her shoulder into Sabally on purpose, and the kind of hit that leaves a player holding her side isn't an accident, it's a decision. Sabally dealt with the aftermath of that hit, and the whole situation got so much attention that Sandy Brondello ended up making a comment about Reese getting treated like a protected species by officials, which tells you everything about how the league's handling her physical play right now. No real consequences followed. No suspension, no extended review, just another play where Reese gets away with something that would draw a flag anywhere else. Then just days later, the Chicago Sky game happened, and this one's almost stranger than the Sabally play. Reese missed a routine layup with no defender within 5 feet of her and came up grabbing her knee like she'd been hit by a truck. No contact. No collision. Just a bad miss and a knee injury that appeared out of nowhere in front of a national audience. That game turned into one of the worst shooting nights of her season 2. 8 points on 3 of 13 from the field, and the layup miss became the moment everyone replayed afterward. Not because of the shot, but because of what happened right after it. Let that image sit for a second. A wide-open shot, a miss, and an injury with no explanation attached to it. Fans online didn't hold back either, plenty calling it instant karma after the Sabali hit just days earlier, and it's hard to blame them for connecting those dots. This isn't the first time Reese has found herself at the center of tension with Clark either. Going back to Reese's rookie year, there have been comments and jabs traded between the two of them, plenty of moments where Reese seemed more focused on Clark's spotlight than her own game. It's a short list, but it's a consistent one, and this week just adds another entry to it. When you line all of that up, this week stops looking like bad luck and starts looking like a pattern. A player who keeps ending up in situations that generate headlines for reasons that have nothing to do with winning basketball games. Now put that next to Clark's week. Confident, composed, dropping efficient stat lines, picking up her 5th career Player of the Week honor while Reese was shooting 3 for 13 and holding her knee on an uncontested miss. That comparison isn't close, and it's exactly why Clark earned the honor and Reese didn't even enter the conversation. This pattern lines up with something bigger too. Remember Reebok pulling back their marketing push around Reese earlier this year? That's not a coincidence, sitting next to a cheap shot on Sabali and a mystery knee injury with no contact involved. Sponsors watch this stuff closely, and trust doesn't survive weeks like this one. The numbers say one thing, the injuries say another, and the quotes swirling around both players this week all point to the exact same gap. One player producing at a record pace, and the other one left explaining a knee injury nobody can explain. What does it actually take to land the cover of NBA 2K27? It's not a popularity contest where the league picks whoever's trending that month. It's a business decision built on jersey sales, broadcast numbers, and which player moves the needle across every platform a video game company cares about. Caitlin Clark got the nod over every other player in the league because she checks every one of those boxes at once, and no other name in the WNBA comes close to matching her reach in front of a camera or on a stat sheet. Look at the Nike deal first. Clark's contract is the largest of any WNBA player in history, and that number didn't come from a marketing meeting guessing about her popularity. It came from production, from ratings, from a rookie season that turned into the most watched WNBA basketball anyone had seen in years. Nike doesn't hand out record deals based on vibes. They hand them out based on what shows up on a scoreboard and what shows up in a ratings report. Then there's State Farm, and this one's bigger than people give it credit for. Clark became their first ever female athlete endorsement ever across any sport. That's not a small detail buried in a press release. That's a company deciding, after decades of picking male athletes for that role, that Clark's the one who finally earns it. Brands don't take that kind of risk on somebody unreliable. They take it on someone who shows up every night, plays through pressure, and doesn't embarrass the logo on national television. Wilson gave her a signature line too, and this is the one that lands hardest with basketball fans because Wilson hasn't done a signature deal like this since Michael Jordan. Let that sit for a second. Jordan. That's the name Clark's now next to in that conversation. And it's not because of hype, it's because Wilson looked at her game and decided she's worth building a product line around. Now add Gatorade to the pile, because their deal with Clark broke records too, complete with her own rainberry flavor tie-in sitting on store shelves. Stack all 4 of these together, Nike, State Farm, Wilson, Gatorade, and you get a simple fact nobody can spin. Clark's off-court earnings now outpace her WNBA salary by a wide margin. And that gap exists because companies looked at the numbers and made a bet on her. So let's go back to that 11th best guard comment for a second, because her actual stat line makes that claim look silly. Clark dropped 45 points and 10 assists in a single game against Seattle, and she also became the fastest player in league history to reach 200 made threes. Those aren't hype numbers, those are box score numbers anybody can look up. Brands don't build record deals around a player who doesn't produce, because sponsors get burned fast if the player can't back up the marketing. And every deal Clark's signed lines up directly with the ratings records from earlier in this video. That production is exactly why Clark took Eastern Conference Player of the Week honors, her 5th career selection and 2nd one already this season. During that stretch, she averaged 25 points, 7.7 assists, and 2.3 rebounds per game, and Indiana went 2-1 behind her. Set that next to Reese's week, and there's no argument left to make. The 2K27 cover isn't hype. It's ratings, stats, and brand trust all landing on the same name at the same time. And while all of this was happening for Clark, Reese was on a basketball court having one of the worst weeks of her career. 5 games, 5 records. Every single one belongs to Indiana, and Reese doesn't show up in a single one of them. That's not opinion. That's the scoreboard talking. None of it happens without Clark backing up every endorsement with real production, and without Cunningham, Hull, Boston, and Mitchell doing the work alongside her. That's a full roster, not one player carrying a broadcast alone. So catch the next Fever game yourself. Watch the numbers climb in real time. This season's still writing itself, and Indiana's nowhere near done proving the point. Do you support Caitlin and Sophie or Reese, the baby giraffe? Let me know down in the comments below. And do not forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications, as we are bringing you all the action and top stories. Click the video on the screen and we will see you in the next one.